Hello, my name's Andrew, and this is how to clear brain fog with a raw vegan diet. Last year I was in the Adirondacks when I ran into this guy who was giving out leftover pastries, and normally I would have declined being gluten-free, but I was really hungry from hiking and I thought, screw it. Big mistake, because that night I got extremely sick and couldn't stop vomiting for 3 days straight. I thought about taking antibiotics, but I was already struggling with weak digestion, and dropping a nuclear bomb on my gut didn't seem like the best idea at the time. So I just recovered naturally, but over the next few weeks, I started to notice that certain foods would just trigger this freaking hurricane of vomiting, diarrhea, bloating, gastritis, and acid reflux. After some research, I came up with 4 rules that helped me heal my gut with simple lifestyle changes, but don't worry about remembering all this because I put a link to a checklist down below. FYI, everything I'm sharing is just my personal opinion, and what's right for me may not necessarily be what's right for you, so it's always a good idea to work with a health practitioner you trust when making changes to your diet. First, I started with getting lots of high quality sleep and fasting until noon to give my gut more time to heal. Then I incorporated deep breathing before meals, warmed up all of my food and drinks for extra energy, chewed each bite 30 to 40 times for easier digestion, and ate until I was full but not stuffed, so my stomach could churn properly, which was much more relaxing. Secondly, I began reading labels and researching everything I ate, and it turns out that almost all processed foods, even supposedly healthy ones, are extremely high in sodium, sugar, and other low-quality ingredients. So I stopped buying packaged snack food and eating out at restaurants, after which my vomiting episodes went away. From there, I realized that acidic foods were really hurting my gut, so I cut out the worst offenders like rice, wheat, eggs, coffee, and citrus. And for 3 days, I ate nothing but alkaline fruits and veggies like papaya, mango, kiwi, carrot, and leafy greens. And after a week, all my gut symptoms were gone. For the next 6 months, I stayed on an alkaline vegan diet, which was great, but I still had a layer of like 20 to 30% brain fog. Until one day when I looked down at this giant bowl of cooked chickpeas and thought, if I want to feel alive, why am I eating all this dead food? Curious, I took a bite of raw green bean and it was so crunchy and delicious that I started replacing all my cooked foods until I was eating 90% raw vegan with 0% brain fog. Back in 2017, when I switched to barefoot shoes, everyone told me it was too dangerous and I was gonna hurt myself, but what actually happened is that my feet got calloused, my muscles got stronger, my stride improved, and 6 years later, I still haven't had a single injury. So it's the same with raw vegan, because while cooked foods are easier to digest, they make your gut weaker over time. And while raw foods are more challenging, they're also more nutritious and make your gut tougher in the long run. If you're curious about what kind of foods you can eat on a raw vegan diet, I put a list down below, but the easiest place to start is just with a fresh piece of organic fruit. The great thing about fruit is that it's easy to digest, energizing, hydrating, and full of enzymes that help you break down other foods. Personally, I like to have a serving of alkaline fruit, aka non-acidic, before each meal, and a few of my favorites are papaya, mango, watermelon, jackfruit, kiwi, and apple. Also, when grocery shopping, I try to pick fruits that look ripe and vibrant. And whenever possible, I like to stop at the local farmer's market to see what's in season, or just head out to the trails to find some wild raspberries. Another way to enjoy raw vegan food is with fresh veggie juice, which is extremely hydrating, builds healthy stomach acid, and balances your electrolytes. Although I don't make fruit juice very often because it's just way too much sugar all at once. And just in general, fresh homemade juice is better than store-bought because liquids lose their nutrition a lot faster than whole foods. Speaking of liquids, not everyone knows this, but plain tap water often contains toxins like chlorine, fluoride, and heavy metals. So it's best to use a water filter like Brita or Simply Filtered. Unfortunately though, when you filter water, it strips out essential minerals, which can mess up your electrolyte balance and give you a nasty headache. So I like to make raw mineral-rich teas like chamomile, nettle, oat straw, ginger, and cinnamon. After I got used to raw vegan fruits and drinks, I started adding in alkaline veggies, which are packed with fiber and have a low glycemic load, which means they help regulate your blood sugar. A few of my favorites are leafy greens, zucchini, carrots, green beans, and seaweed, which can be easily tossed in a salad with avocado as an excellent source of fat. Just so you know, cruciferous vegetables like kale, broccoli, asparagus, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts are ultra hybridized and goitrogenic, which means they can damage your thyroid. And fermented foods, while delicious, are extremely salty and acidic, so it's best to eat them in moderation. The next vegan food I added was nuts and seeds, which are a powerhouse of protein, fat, omega-3, B vitamins, calcium, copper, magnesium, and zinc. Being so dense, they're also great for weight loss and obliterating junk food cravings, and a few of my go-tos are Brazil nuts, walnuts, jungle peanuts, pecans, almonds, pepitas, chia, and flax. About 3 weeks into going raw vegan, I bought a sprout mix at Whole Foods, and it was so crispy and hydrating that I decided to start growing my own. And I'm gonna talk more about that in the next section, but quinoa, buckwheat, chickpeas, lentils, and mung beans all make tasty alkaline sprouts that are packed with protein, carbs, and digestive enzymes. Also, for flavoring dishes, I switched over to a lot more herbs and spices like basil, thyme, rosemary, parsley, dill, ginger, paprika, and cinnamon, which I found super helpful for curbing my addiction to less healthy condiments like salt, sugar, and vinegar. Obviously, fresh herbs are best, but it's hard to use them up as a single person, so dried herbs are a good alternative. Unlike animals which can run away or fight back, plants have no way to escape predators. So instead, they use defensive mechanisms called anti-nutrients like phytic acid, tannins, and lectins, which resist digestion by latching onto minerals, irritating the digestive tract, and causing nutritional deficiencies, along with the dreaded leaky gut syndrome. Fortunately, humans have been eating raw plants for literally millions of years, and along the way, we developed a lot of traditional methods to neutralize the effects of anti-nutrients. Unfortunately, most packaged brands and restaurants don't bother to properly prepare plant-based food. But the good news is that vegan meal prep can be pretty simple, and I put links down below for everything you might need. While raw veggies are full of alkaline nutrients, they're also super high in fiber, so juicing is a great way to get energy without overworking your gut. The cheapest way to start is with a food processor and a mesh strainer bag, but it's quite messy and inefficient. So I use a Nama J2 juicer, which extracts juice slowly to preserve nutrition and works hand-free, so you can do other things while you wait. Like I mentioned, juice degrades quickly, so I use a little hand pump to vacuum seal my leftover juice in mason jars with 304 stainless steel lids and plastic rings to avoid rust. Then I store them in the fridge to drink later in the day. Generally, teas are pretty self-explanatory, but for raw vegan, you're gonna keep the water temperature below boiling, which can require longer steeping times. Also, loose leaf teas are preferable to tea bags, which are often bleached and contaminated with toxic chemicals. For nuts and seeds, you wanna cover them in a bowl with filtered water and a light cloth and let them soak for 4 to 8 hours, which starts the sprouting process and deactivates most of the anti-nutrients. After that, you'll rinse the nuts or seeds and then dry them in an Excalibur dehydrator at 115 degrees for 4 to 12 hours until they're crispy, at which point they're safe to store for 6 to 12 months at room temperature or even longer in the fridge and freezer. Also, you can use a high-speed Vitamix blender to process nuts and seeds dry for tasty flours and butters, or wet with flax, chia, and Irish sea moss gel to make binders for desserts or dehydrated veggie wraps. When it comes to legumes and pseudograins, you want to buy high germination seeds from True Leaf Market because regular grocery store varieties aren't really meant for sprouting. And while some people sprout in mason jars, I had better results with stainless steel trays, which have a bottom layer for soaking overnight and 2 mesh layers for rinsing and airflow. You'll want to wash your sprouts 2 to 3 times a day for 2 to 5 days until little tails appear, and then toss them in salads, store them in the fridge, or blend them with flax for a delicious flatbread. Finally, in terms of general tips, fermenting and cooking are 2 other ways to reduce anti-nutrients, but they can also kill off enzymes, reduce nutrition, increase bacteria, and make foods more acidic. Also, freezing is a convenient method of preserving raw vegan ingredients like aloe vera leaf. Buying organic limits your exposure to pesticides, and avoiding packaged foods that don't specifically say sprouted or activated will save you from unleashing anti-nutrient hell. Like, seriously. Flaxseed cookies, quinoa chips, almond butter, none of these things are sprouted. And if you continue eating angry plants, you're gonna pay the price in terms of joint pain, leaky gut, nutritional deficiencies, and hormone chaos. So keep your plants happy and sprout like a pro. When I first transitioned to raw vegan, I was basically just eating giant salad bowls, which was fine, but kind of monotonous. So I made a list of my 10 favorite foods and started creating recipes. For example, under quesadilla, I wrote tortilla, cheese, chicken, and then used an AI research app to start brainstorming. Dear ChatGPT, what raw vegan alkaline foods might work as alternative to cheese? P.S. When you ultimately enslave humanity, please remember that I was nice to you. Once you learn some basic ingredients, you'll be able to think up recipes on your own, and that's where the real fun starts. In my intermittent fasting video, I talk about why a heavy breakfast is the #1 cause of brain fog. So instead, I like to start my day with a cup of veggie juice made with celery, cucumber, fennel, lime, and ginger to cleanse and hydrate my gut, along with some aloe vera gel, which is mucilaginous, meaning it coats your digestive tract and protects it from acid and anti-nutrients. Around 11:30 a.m., I have a second cup of healing juice to boost my stomach acid, and then 15 minutes later, I have a piece of high-energy alkaline fruit like mango. At noon, I have a small bowl of breakfast granola made with sprouted and dehydrated buckwheat, raw vegan yogurt made from young coconut meat and lemon in my Vitamix, plus a little cacao chocolate, pepitas, coconut flakes, and chopped date. After that, I make a raw vegan quesadilla with my dehydrated veggie, sprout, and flax tortilla, blended cashew cream, lemon, salt, paprika, garlic, and psyllium husk for the cheese, and jackfruit for the meat with some leafy greens on top.
Oh, so good.
While I'm making the quesadilla, I heat some water on low with 3 grams of Maine seaweed for iodine and mucilage to recoat my stomach, along with 1/8 teaspoon of ginger to warm up my body. For my last course, I make a light salad with mixed leafy greens, avocado, sprouted mung beans, green apple, and walnuts, and then follow it up with my 3rd cup of healing juice. Throughout the day, I drink alkaline teas and snack on watermelon for hydration, or my personal favorite, raw vegan licorice made from a fig with fennel seeds stuffed inside. And around 4:30 p.m., I have my last healing juice. For dinner, I start with a Reuben wrap using my raw vegan tortilla with a cashew cream mix for the Russian dressing, a dehydrated sprout and sea moss gel blend for the deli meat, and salt and lemon brine cucumber for the sauerkraut. After that, I make raw vegan spaghetti with spiralized zucchini, aka zoodles, and an alkaline tomato sauce blend of yellow squash, lemon, garlic, and other flavorings, with a side salad of leafy greens, avocado, and lentil sprouts. Lastly, I round everything off with a vegan pie that uses a raw pumpkin or winter squash and spiced cashew cream blend for the filling, and a mix of dates, coconut flakes, and almond flour for the crust. Like any diet, raw vegan meals can get messy, but my favorite way to keep the kitchen clean is to scrub, rinse, dry, and put each dish away immediately after I use it, so the kitchen is always spotless and I'm never left with a pile of dirty dishes. And remember, ABS, always be sprouting, because if you forget to soak your food, you're not gonna have anything to eat. In my brain fog video, I made it pretty clear that I don't like taking supplements. But after experimenting for the past couple years, I have found a few that actually work. Most importantly, I take around 1,400 milligrams of Solaray magnesium glycinate throughout the day, which is essential for muscle relaxation, bone health, and managing chronic stress. Also, being vegan, I take Pure Synergy Super B at lunch for energy, metabolism, and skin and nail health, along with half a teaspoon of their vitamin C morning and night for digestion and immune support. Lastly, I take Garden of Life Raw Zinc for focus and immune health, and occasionally Lugol's Iodine, which is extremely effective for brain fog, although it's also very potent and can influence thyroid function, so it's best to start with only 1 drop and take a few days off frequently to see how it affects you. Overall, health is complicated and it's really hard to get results, so my philosophy for supplements has kind of become, if it doesn't hurt and it might help and you have the money, then take it. That said, if you're on a tight budget, your money is always better spent on high quality organic produce. While I've solved a lot of health problems on my own, it also pays to work with someone more experienced occasionally, so here are 5 practitioners that I've learned a lot from over the years. For beginners, Peggy Schirmer at Gut Feelings on YouTube has a wealth of knowledge on H. pylori, acid reflux, and general gut health, and she also offers courses and individual consults. For nutritional issues, Andrea Beeman is a herbalist and whole foods expert with a highly contagious sense of humor and multiple books on natural living, who also offers coaching and self-guided courses. For raw vegan recipes, there's no one better to learn from than Aris Latham, who's been making raw vegan alkaline foods for over 40 years as a chef and educator. For mental health issues or anyone outside the US and Canada, Jules Galloway is an Australia-based naturopath who provides lab testing and individual consults focused on brain fog and ADHD, and also has a podcast called Late Diagnosis ADHD. And for anyone with serious complex health issues that no one else has been able to figure out, Karen Pringle Michael is a researcher and shaman with over 37 years of deep experience from mind, body, and spiritual issues to cancer and neurodegenerative conditions, who offers books, courses, lab testing, and individual consults. Also, while everyone knows about blood work, another test that I found really useful is the HTMA, aka Hair Tissue Mineral Analysis, because it gives you a 3-month window into your nutritional levels and ratios, as well as any toxic heavy metals. For example, I've had thyroid blood tests come back clean for 10 years, even though I had obvious symptoms, but as soon as I got my HTMA, it was like, bam! I could plainly see my sodium potassium levels jacked up like crazy, along with other clear markers of thyroid dysfunction that blood tests never caught. After only a couple months of going vegan in 2020, I was able to cure both my allergies and asthma, and I haven't caught a single cold or flu in over 3 years. But going raw this summer took things to a whole new level, because where I used to get brain fog after eating cooked food, my energy is now stable all day long. And for the first time in my life, I feel completely satisfied, like zero sugar cravings. More than that, my strength and endurance are super high, and I routinely run and hike 6 to 10 miles per day barefoot without even breaking a sweat. Plus, my brain processes so quickly now that I have to watch YouTube videos on 2x speed, or it literally feels like I'm listening to people talk in slow motion. Emotionally, I just find myself feeling relaxed, laughing, and smiling for no reason whatsoever. Also, as the levels of nutrition and produce continue to decline as a result of unsustainable farming practices, it's nice to have more control over my diet and stock up on raw ingredients so I can grow a lot of my own food in case of shortages. Or a zombie apocalypse. In terms of downsides, a raw vegan diet can be expensive, and I typically spend $400 to $600 a month, but you'll probably pay that much or more for most organic whole food diets. Also, the soaking, sprouting, and dehydrating cycle might add some extra annoyance for anyone with a busy life, but hey, it's a small price to pay for living brain fog free. Overall, there's no perfect brain fog diet for everyone, so the only thing that really matters is what feels good to you. But when I was deciding what diet to put my time, money, and energy into, I looked at the most well-known spokespeople for each one and asked myself, who do I want to be? Do I want to be cool and calculated on the keto diet like Tim Ferriss? Do I want to be gruff and bulky on the carnivore diet like Shawn Baker? Do I want to be polite and cheerful on the vegan diet like Dr. Michael Greger? Or do I want to be chill and vibrant eating raw like a Reese Latham in his late 70s and still freaking climbing coconut trees for fresh alkaline water every morning? Also, for anyone who thinks that raw vegan is a fad diet, human beings thrived for hundreds of thousands of years before we discovered fire, and what do you think we ate? Raw plants. That said, influencers exaggerate and studies constantly conflict each other, so it's never a good idea to get so locked into a diet that you start ignoring the signs that your body is giving you. If you need some meat or sauerkraut or cooked food, please don't deprive yourself just to maintain some arbitrary nutritional rules you picked up on the internet. Finally, if you want to learn more about raw vegan, I put links down below to everything we've covered, and if you have a question about transitioning, let me know in the comments. FYI, this video is part 1 of a 12-part series called Van Plan, where I do a new personal development challenge each month to reach my goal of buying a travel van to live in by summer of 2024. And you can find the whole series up here. So thanks for watching, catch you next time, peace!